Hi everyone, this is Greg Paquette. Welcome. It is 11:59 Eastern Time, so we're going to start in just a couple minutes. We have about 60 people on here today. We're expecting about 150, so we're going to wait a few until more people arrive. If someone could just type in the little question box and just let me know if you can hear me okay and if you can see my CentralReach screen. Yes and yes. All right, perfect guys. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to mute for a second here and then we will get started in a couple minutes. All right, everyone. So people are still filtering in. A couple housekeeping items. So first off, today we are going to be going over our new learning tree revamp. So as some of you have seen, hopefully by now, you've seen a lot of articles, you've seen some videos on this topic. We have improved our learning trees. So the same old learning trees, just advanced, same buttons, just maybe in some different places. Okay, and we're going to go over kind of how to make a tree, some different setup options, how to navigate through a tree, some different buttons, some new and improved features. It will be about 40 minutes in duration today. Like I said, we are still waiting for a few more folks to log on, so just probably 1 or 2 more minutes. Throughout the presentation, I will try to stop and I will try to look at some questions here on my screen, and I'll try to answer some as I go if I can, and then I'll stop and answer some at little preset breaks. Okay, so just give me about another minute or two and then we'll get started. I am recording, and afterwards, if you registered, if other people in your organization have registered, they will get an email with a recording, and then we will also put it up on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search for CentralReach videos, and you'll see the new webinar video. And then also in our help section, it will be up. And then additionally in the Chronicle, the next Chronicle, it will be posted there as well. All right, so hang tight for 1 more minute, and then we'll get started. All right, guys, so we are going to get started here today. Don't want to take too much of your time. Like I said, it's about 35, 40 minutes in duration, and we're going to go through our new learning trees. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of speaking with, my name is Gregory Paquette. I head up the clinical development here and clinical sales of our product here at CentralReach, the Learn module. Okay, so today we're going to be focusing in on some changes to making a book and the new trees themselves. All right, so first off, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. We are going to go to our Learn module, and we're going to go to our clinical dashboard, and we're going to click into Learning Trees. Once I go here, nothing has changed. I'm just going to go into add a new branch, or add a new tree rather. From this page, you'll see a little bit of a different look and feel. Okay, we are still going to be picking a name for our book. Okay. So Tasmanian's Program Book, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I have some options here. Contact Learning Tree is what you're all used to. It's for a client, okay? So if I click this little button, it's going to pop up who that tree will be assigned to. All right, we still have the other options, Private Learning Tree, using it for ourselves, and a Learning Tree template, and then a marketplace product for those of you that do use our marketplace. Okay, but today we're going to stick with our Contact Learning Tree. Once you find a client, you're going to notice that you have some easy sharing. So before you actually just created your book with the name and the client's name, and then you created your learning tree. What we did to save some time is you can share with someone right here. Okay, so if I put in someone's name, I can populate and share with them right here. No one, unfortunately, is shared with Tasmanian, but if they were, I could share it right here. I'm going to create my tree, and you're going to notice something a little bit different. Okay, the first thing you're going to notice is a big tree with some metrics in the middle. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. You're going to notice a color-coded background, and you're going to notice a big D in the top left corner. I can make that branch active by simply just hovering over and clicking. Now it changes color, and now it's active. Okay. You are also able to click to add your first branch. So the system is just going to prompt you along a little bit. Okay. I can click, and then another new feature is everything's going to pop out from the side. So from the right side, you're going to have these little pop-ups. We're going to get into this and go into detail on each item that's going to pop out from the right. But just so you know, everything now is going to be popping out from the right. Again, I scroll and I click to add my first branch, and it pops out. This is called our little sidebar. From here, we have our new Add a Branch screen. A lot of you were familiar with the Add a Branch screen from the past where you had to say yes, no, yes, yes. Some of those questions were a little bit confusing for users, so we tried to make it a little easier. Okay, so we have some choices. We are going to have our cumulative graph, our cumulative page choice. We are going to have our data collection page, our resource page, and our library. All of these things will house the information you're pretty familiar with, except it's nice and easy to get there. So I hover and I see what type, a little instruction underneath. Okay, I scroll to data, gives me a little instruction, resource, and library. I'm going to click my cumulative, and you notice that you have the items that you're familiar with. Okay, goal name, instructional note templates, goal details, okay, and then the Save as Draft button. A change that we made was, before it was a little hard if you made a mistake to go back and change things. So even though you're way down here, maybe I've incorrectly chosen that I have that cumulative page, I can go back up and I can just say, well, I want it to have data collection. Okay, so then I scroll down and I have all my data types as you're used to, your trials, your labels, everything that you're used to. Okay, nothing in here has changed. If I decide to make a resource, I'm right here, and then I have my resource types. Okay, again, the same features, just in a little bit of a different view. Okay, we also have our library. All right, we did make a little change to the library, meaning if you open something up, you're able to quickly select in a few different ways. I can click the whole thing, and then I can click like this to remove items, or I can double click and then just pick a couple items. Okay, so before you had to deselect everything. So by making it a series of clicks, I can do something like this. Okay, and I can just pick the ones that I would like. Okay, so just play around a little bit with your clicks and your double clicks. You'll be able to have exactly what you need. All right, same thing, you add selected and it would pop to your book. Okay, so that's a little bit about how to make a book and a little bit about the side view, a little preview. I'm going to hop to a real book that has a lot in it, and I'll be able to show you some new things. Okay, I'm going to stop for a sec and look at any questions so far. Let's see here. Give me a sec here. All right. So when you would want to share with someone, would that be for RBTs working the client? So yes, in the initial page that when I was making my new tree, that sharing option is just whoever you want. Okay, so I'm going to show you that again later, and I'll show you some different sharing options. But basically, when you're making a tree and you want it shared with 2 RBTs or maybe another supervisor, when you make that book, you're just going to put them in that sharing screen and share them from the start, okay? All other sharing is the same. You can still do it in your book, okay? So I could go up here, learning tree options, and I'm going to get to this, but I have a lot of people that are already shared with this person, okay? You can have auto sharing, and you can always share after the fact. But the new screen at the beginning is really just to save you some time and put people in, okay? Is it going to be possible to edit the instructional note template? Yes, you can. I'm going to get to that. How do you add to the library or modify library options? I'm going to get to that. And in the initial page to share with others, do those people need to be connected to the client? 100%. So if you recall, I tried to type in a name, and this client wasn't connected to anyone, so therefore I couldn't put them in there. Okay? All right, so moving right along, I'll get to more questions in a few. I am going to go to a book. I'm going to go to Natty, and I'm going to open it. Okay, same stuff you're used to, except now we have some cool stuff to look at. Okay, so Jane's book. In the middle, I can add labels. Okay, I can always add labels to a book. I'm going to see any long-term goals that are mastered. So any of my top tiers, anything mastered would trigger this percentage. My short-term goals mastered. This will trigger for any short-term in your book. You get a percentage of mastery. You have the goals met since the start, and you have the goals in progress. So just some metrics there for you to quickly see what's going on. And then, of course, your last goal mastered. So if you only come in here once a week or every couple days, you can quickly see just a little added feature we put for folks, the last goal that was mastered. Okay, so that is a little bit about that first option right here. Okay, so let's see a few new features. Branch options is now in the top right. Same stuff is in the branch options. It's just in the top right here. And the tree options is in the top left. You still can export, you still can print, show your archive your tree, or create a session. The same information. However, this gear icon used to be in the right. All right, so tree options over here. The learning tree options have a little bit of a different feel. If I click them, I now have my sharing and access in a tab, my reorder. Okay, notice that there's no index. There's no index to find reorder. We have put the reorder on the same tab as all the other items that are setting related. Okay, so sharing and access, reorder. Reorder still functions the same way. I have my activity, same activity log, and I have my export. Okay, so that's all here, and it's ready to be used in the top left corner. Another feature, index has transformed into tree view. In the data sheets, for those of you using sessions, we call it tree view or index view, and so we have our tree view now here on the side. Same function, right? Pop it open, pop it shut. Okay, so that's the same there. It's just a little bit of a different title. Now, moving right along, you notice that instead of the arrows on the side, you have little folders. I can click and I can open it up. Click and open it up. Really just makes sense. We've always taught people to put things in folders. Now they're little folder pictures instead of little arrows. Okay, you can still just click, right? Shut them, click, shut them. Okay, now I open it up and you'll notice a new feature right away. Hopefully you've noticed that I click on an area and it goes right to the graph. All right, so that's a huge feature. For all of us that are in the field, right, we want to just quickly look at our graphs. We don't want to have to click graph, view it, click the next one, click graph, view it. We want to just be able to quickly scroll. So we made it so that you can quickly just click, view the graph, click, view the graph, click, view the graph. If you don't want to click along the left side, another new feature is just to click along the bottom. We have these little circles that are different sizes, okay? So notice, if I'm way down here on this graph, I can just click this little left bottom arrow, go to the next one, click the arrow, go to the next one, click the arrow, go to the next one, and so on and so forth. I'm on a little arrow, and I can click, and now I'm on a bigger little circle, okay? So these are all the little graphs as I scroll along the bottom. If you're following my mouse, hopefully it shows up on your screen, but I can click and go to little different graphs using the little circles on the bottom. All right, so that's a new feature. Feel free to explore. I can click the little tree in the bottom and it bounces me back home. Then it populates into these bigger circles and I can go to certain sections very quickly. Okay. So that's a little bit about the bottom little circles. You can just play around with those and try them out. Now, along the left side, and I know I'm covering a lot, I'll stop for questions in a couple minutes. Again, I can click, open and shut my folders, and I get to my graph pretty easily. Notice that when I click little sections, we just added a little color-coded feature, okay? So if you have a page that's not really a goal, you have a gray screen in the background. Over ABA program, you see a little shaded gray. I go down a level, it's shaded blue. I go down a level, and I have shaded green. So we had some color coded in addition to the highlighting that we have, so that you're really going to always know where you're highlighted, which branch that you're on. Okay, so that's a little bit about that on the side. Now I'm going to stop and I'm going to look at the questions for a sec. Bear with me. Give me a sec. They're coming on in pretty quick. Let's see. For the parent portal, should we share with client name? So by default, when you make a learning tree, it is shared with that client, aka that parent, okay? If you're using the parent portal, that's a great idea. You are going to want to come over here to learning tree options, to sharing, and probably change that to read only. Okay, so it's the same. Nothing's changed about the sharing. Nothing changed about the parent portal. Just make sure that if you are giving out logins to your families, make it read only. You wouldn't want them coming in, editing, deleting their data, so on and so forth. All right, let's see. Would be able to change the values of X and Y axis. We're getting there in a sec. How do you change a phase change line? We're getting there. Where do we leave supervision notes and communication notes? We'll get there. Someone is experiencing audio. Okay, sorry about that. All fixed. Where would you edit the branch? Great place to start. Okay, cool. So I'm going to get to that right now, guys. All right, cool. So we went over the index. We went over the bottom scrollers. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Okay, so let's go over the right sidebar. Okay, the right sidebar. you now have all your old options in little symbols along the right. The first one is description. Pop it open, and I have my description. Okay? I can push the X and shut it. Next one, comments. Pop it open, and I can add a comment. Push enter, it saves. Notice, for those of you that have been around for a little while, you'll know that we added this recently, a couple months ago. We have a number 1 where you added a comment, and on the data sheet, that session, the session beta, you now have a number 1 as well. Something new we added with the revamp is an exclamation point where I left that comment. Before, even though the comments was a great feature, you did have to open everything to find that comment. So now, even if I navigate to my tree, I know that someone has added a new comment. Even better, if I go to the home screen, my most recent comments are waiting for me. So no matter what, the supervisor logs into the book, they see the most recent comments, and that's anything in the last 48 hours. Anything in the last 48 hours will show here, and of course, as 48 hours passes, then it will disappear, and you'll go back to a blank list. And then again, you have your exclamation point, so you can open it up and really see where that comment is. All right, clicking back on the branch. We went over comments, so the next one is the Edit tab. The Edit tab is right here, the third one down. And I have all my things that I'm used to seeing. I have my branch description. I can add it here. My branch title, I can edit it here. A new feature, though, is we have ability to edit our instructional notes whenever we need to. So some of you, and that was a question a minute ago that I said I'd get to, is if I'm using a template, okay, I still have my templates like before. 2 new changes. Notice that I do not have to push done editing to get to my note template. This might seem like a small change. For our new users, they wouldn't have known any better, but our old users knew that you had to click done editing, go back to it, open it up, and then add it in. So right now, I just click it, and then I'm able to type it in. Click done editing, and we're good to go. The bottom sidebar item is the instructional note, and we have whatever I just placed there. Another question was about how do I change that instructional note template? Well, I go back to edit it, I scroll down, and I want to change this skill acquisition to, let's just say DTT, bam. My instructional notes have now changed, and I have the ability to fill in these items right here. Okay, so again, just to recap, 2 items is that you can edit instructional notes very quickly. They pop right up, fill them out, save, and you can change them if you happen to pick the wrong one. Now, add a branch, plus sign. Okay, so again, I click the area that I would want to add a branch to, click the plus sign, and it populates to the screen that I went over at the very beginning. Cumulative, data collection, resource, and library. So I won't redo this, but just know you can ask any questions. These are the same 4 options. Okay, going back down to my target level, I have my data history. That's the 4th one down, or rather the 5th one down on my sidebar. Data history, pop it open, and I have my data history here. The same data history you're used to. Open up, see your trials, shut your trials, open it up, see your trials, and you could, of course, delete items the same way as you're used to. Scroll to find all your data history. Click the X to shut it, or simply jump to the next area on your sidebar. Back to comments, back to edit, back to data entry history. Okay? Now, manual data entry. Pop it open, and you have your options. So someone asked, where are the phase changes? Okay, so they're right here. We can set a goal, same thing, the little red criterion. We can add an event, same thing you're used to. Can add a phase change, same information you're used to, and then we can add data. Here's a new feature. It's a little bit easier to know where you currently are, right? So I am currently in maintenance. If I X out, just to show you the difference, I'll go to this target here on the left. I'll add some data, and it knows that this item, this branch, is in intervention. I can add some data in a different phase. It's not blocking me. It's just reminding me where I am. So if I'm a supervisor, I want to add a probe, generalization, right? And it warns me. It says, are you sure? I'm in intervention, right? But it's not going to block me. All right. Another one. So now I'm in intervention. You still have your manual data entry. Click, click, click. Okay. Or you can use our new out of. We have had the out of option if you used a maximum. However, now we took that limitation away. So I can simply do something like they got a 5 out of 7, and I can graph my data. Okay, I can go over here again, add some data, current phase. Now they got a 6 out of 9, and graph my data. Now, if you're thinking that you don't want to keep clicking that sidebar and just going back to the graph, adding a new one, back to the graph, adding a new one, I can pop this open, and I can add multiple in a row. Okay, so I got 7 out of 9, and I have my graph data and add another. Pop it right, add data. Now I have 6 out of 9, graph data. Okay, so it's much quicker to add your data. Okay, so that is a little bit about adding data. And remember, these are just the single phase change, the single event, but you always still have the option in branch options of adding your bulk. Okay, all right. And lastly, we have our view goal button. View goal button, you have your service provider, data initiated, data in progress, and you have all your items over here that you're used to. Okay, and I can shut that and go back to work. Okay, so that's a little bit about the sidebar. Let me just again stop for some questions before we get to some new time-saving tools. I'm going to pop open my questions. Give me a sec. Let's see. When will the recording be sent out? Yes, so right after, I will transform this into a viewable MP4, and we will send it out most likely later today on our YouTube channel, and then I think within 24 hours, you guys will get an email with the link. How do you change my title with just a double click? Great question. That's what I'm getting to next. I'll show you that in one sec. Let's see, how can prompting that is used during a session be seen on the graph or a pop-up box? Okay, so let me show you something, guys. So let's go to some prompting. Give me a sec. So when you use prompting in a session, you can hover and you can see, oops, sorry about that, made my graph smaller. I can hover and I can see the prompting used per trial or per step of a task analysis. We do have a new feature where you can come over here and look at your prompts used in a bar graph or a line graph format. So there's two ways. Utilize our new prompt utilization graphs, or simply just look on the regular graph and you can see the prompts used. You also can use your data entry history, pop open, and see what prompts were used. Okay. Now, easy edit titles. We'll get to that question. Let's pretend my fake little TA branch here. I want to change this title. Double click. Let's change it to task analysis. Push enter, and there we go. Notice that that quickly changes the title. Why is that important, right? Why is that important? When you're doing a program and you want to do bulk copying. So I click, I'm going to go to my branch options. I'm going to bulk copy 3 times. I have the same exact target. Double click, type, if I can only spell, push enter. Double click, type, click enter, double click, type, click enter. Huge time saving. Now let's take it a step further. Let's pretend these are real targets and you want them on your data sheet. How do I get there, right? This is a review from some of you guys. You go all the way to the session, open your session, and you edit it and add it. Okay, that's the current way, but we have a surprise for you. You can do that right from the tree now. Okay, so I made my new targets. I hover, in case you can't see my mouse, I hover over this little graph symbol. I click, and a little button will pop up that says Add to a Session. I click Add. I have the available sessions for Natty. However, if most of you have been through training recently, you'll know that we do advise to have one active session. Makes a lot of these things pretty easy, okay? But for our purposes, example data sheet, add it. Branch was successfully added to that session. Go to the next one, add to session. It knows which data sheet, so I don't even have to choose. Click the next one, add to session. It knows which one, and I add it. Okay, so that is a huge time-saving feature. All right, so let me just look at a couple of these questions. A few of you have said that is an amazing feature, so thank you. Yep, that one's going to save a lot of time. Let's see. How do you delete a folder? Okay, so, and this is kind of like another question. Can you delete a branch after it's created? So, yes and no. So how do I delete a folder? I would click the folder I wanted, whether it's open or whether it's shut, and I would go to branch options, and I would have to archive it. I would have to archive that folder, and it's going to ask me if I want to, and you can, of course, archive that. You cannot delete an active branch from your client's book. We do have to keep that due to electronic record requirements, okay? So once it's active, you can archive it. Now, if I do add a new branch, and I'm going to, let's just say data collection, I'm just going to type some random stuff. Let's pretend this is a Rail branch, okay? It is going to look like this. It's a draft still. Notice I can go to branch options, and I have that delete branch button. The reason I have that delete branch button is simply because this is still in draft mode, okay? Notice if I make that active, no more delete button. All right, so hopefully that makes sense, guys. When it's still draft, you can delete it. When it's not draft, you have to archive it. All right, can you edit a short-term goal? All demos of new trees have the targets edited. Oh yeah, of course, anything, right? So I could change this, right? Change it any way I want. You can always edit the name of that short term, and you can of course edit any details. Things about short term, right, are typically the title that you change, the description that you change, the instructional note. Okay, so anything down here you can change. All right. So again, I click the area, click edit, and then I have anything I can change at the long-term or short-term level. All right. Let's see. If you add data, but doing 5 out of 6, it will not show prompt codes. That's exactly right. Okay, so a question here is, you can always quick add some data, right? Like I showed. I'm in here and I can do the out of. If it has a max, I can put the out of right here. Okay, it won't override your max if you have a max set. I can graph that data, but you don't get the prompts. When you use the out of quick entry, you do not get prompts. If you happen to have prompts in your branch, you would have to use the trial entry, okay? This one doesn't happen to have the prompts, but you would have to use the manual clicker if you want to add some prompts. Okay. Let's see. We have another question. Let's see. Didn't give me options. I was not able to make a phase change. It didn't give me the options. Why would that be? Oh, I see, and never mind. Okay, that's fine. Let's see here. If a session was created for a client and a new one was added, instead of editing the original, can the old session be removed from the staff view? So yes, that's a little bit out of the scope of this, but what you would do is you'd go to that session, and if you were the author of that, you'd go to sharing and access. Also in a gear icon, but on the session. Go to the datasheet / session that you need to remove someone, go to the gear icon, sharing and access, and simply remove the staff member from the old one. Or if you're the author of that datasheet, aka session, you can delete the datasheet. You are able to delete a datasheet, and it will remove that from the view of your staff, but you are not able to delete anything that's active in a learning tree. Let's see. Can you search for a goal within the tree? Unfortunately, you cannot search for a goal within the tree. How can you tell if a target is already on a session? That's a great point. So if I go here and I click my little graph, add to a session, and I try to add this to example daily datasheet, well, I thought it would actually tell me that it was already added to that data sheet. So maybe we'll add a little feature. I'm just getting to know this as well, guys. So James, you stumped me on that one. I thought a little warning popped up that said, oh, it's already on the data sheet. But we'll work to correct that for you. Okay. Let's see. Where does the instructional note show up on the data sheet? That's a wonderful question. Bear with me. I'm going to go to a data sheet, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to go to my clinical sessions. I'm going to search for Natty. Here I am. I'm going to go to a little fake data sheet here. On the session beta, you are going to have your instructional notes on the right-hand side. Okay, so again, I can shut my right-hand side. I'm working on my hand washing task analysis right here. If I forget how to run that, pop open the side, and I can see my notes right here. All right, that's how to view that on the session. Let's see, I'm going to take one or two more questions. Let's see. Is there still the option to expand all to see all the branches opened at once without having to click on to open each folder? So let's see. It has defaulted. There might have been a time that everything would open. I think that was a good year ago when it, correct me, I could be wrong there, but we did used to open everything up, but we had a lot of feedback that was very frustrating to users. So right now, if I have behaviors open and I shut this whole folder, I can open it up and behaviors is still open, right? Or if I've left academics open, right, I can shut this and have it open up, but it does not default to opening everything. All right, I'm going to show you one more new feature, video instructions page. Okay, bear with my little video voice on the screen here if it comes through, but let's pretend you're in a course, or let's pretend that you're just doing some edits and you want to watch a video, right, during your program updates. I can click my little video, okay, and then if I click somewhere else, my video will pop to the corner, okay? And if I want, I can drag this all around. I can drag my video all around, okay? I'm going to shut that. Let's see how to get that to stop real quick. There we go. All right, so you can always X out of the video as well. All right, so that's a new feature for folks that have courses. The staff members are watching their courses and you want to do some other work during that. All right, so that's a new little feature as well. Okay, so let's see. I believe those are the bulk of the features. Let's see here. I'm just checking my notes of what I want to show you guys, and that I think is what I wanted to show you. So, play around a little bit. I'm going to take a few questions in a moment, but realistically, get familiar with everything. You have the same buttons, just in a little bit of a different spot, right? Biggest thing, remember that tree options are in the top left corner. Okay, remember that all your editing, all your viewing of your data, all your manual data entry is going to be on the right side. Okay, your graphs If you have a cumulative branch or if you have any target branches, those will be just defaulted to the view on your screen. Okay, all the other graphing features remain the same. Okay. We do have a question here. Can you change the way you take data after data has been collected? No, for the graphs that actually calculate, let's say you have duration and then you want to take task analysis, that would really confuse the coding or confuse the system. So once you do pick a data collection method, you cannot change it. However, you can always change the view of the graph. You can change the axes. You can change, the title, you can change the trials, you can change the session type, all those things as well. Okay, you cannot make your own videos in the system. You can place any of your videos in the system. All right, so if I'm in a section here and I want to add a branch, I can go to resource and I can change my type to video and I will be able to upload a file. I'm also able to prevent users from fast forwarding. In addition, we have a new feature. If you're using this feature for quizzes, you can, as a supervisor, see what items were incorrect. So if you have a quiz, you assign it to a staff member, they get a 60%. You can look and see what questions they got wrong now. Okay, so for those of you that are using our learning management system, you can see what questions they got wrong to be able to give them feedback. Okay. Print the graphs with data history. The options for printing are in the export. Okay, the export will be right here. You can print all your stuff with these options. Print forms, include comments, include notes, include test history or data points. So you cannot print actually that data history under the graph. If you choose the graph exports, they are going to be the whole, just the graphs, okay? Now, if you go into a graph, let me click into a graph here. I can go into my little 3-line chart menu, and I'm able to download as different ways. So those are the only ways that you can currently download or print out your graphs. Okay. Couple questions. So just so you guys know, if you do have to run, I am done showing the new features. I'm just finishing up with some questions here that people have asked. Okay. Where do you leave notes about events, right? So events, I'd probably go ahead and add some data. I'd add an event, and I would name that, right? Medication change, and I would add a comment. He started taking Advil, right? And then I can add that event, and that will populate on the graph, and underneath the graph is where the data entry history used to be, but I would just go here to data entry history and see that I had med changes. Okay, that's where I would leave an event notification. And was auto progression approved as an option? So what auto progression is, guys, this is a commonly requested item, our #1 requested item, and it is approved. We are going to start building it. I don't have a timeline, but really when you have, let's say, a bunch of animals that you're working on, you have a list of stimuli in your tree, dog, cat, snake, elephant. Let's say that dog was mastered. Auto progression will actually put the next one in line on your data sheet. Again, that is approved, and we are going to assign it to a developer in the near future. No timeline there, but it will be coming out. Okay, when we'll be able to have a data target added to the data sheet automatically, same kind of thing, right? So again, auto progression, that will be something coming out most likely in the next couple months. Okay, is there a way to put a target on hold? Yep, you bet. So targets on hold, you would just click your target. You would go to the circle view goal button, and you would put it on hold. Okay, it does need a date initiated to go on hold. Update it, and now you have your orange item right there. It would show up as orange on hold on your data sheet as well. Criteria, prompting, that is all the same. All right. I think I've gotten to all the stuff. Only other question is session notes. So session notes are typically done through a timesheet or through our notes and forms. However, you're 100% fine having a communication log in your book, also putting a branch that is for communication on your data sheet. Just like any branch, I could, add it to my session and it would pop on the session. I could, of course, add some comments to that comment here, and that could be my session note. All right, so that's what a lot of people do. You can also leave specific target comments on your data sheet, but most folks are using a note and form tied to their timesheet to use their session notes. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that is it. So play around, explore, submit some tickets if you have questions. If you have a customer success manager, feel free to ask them any questions. Okay. Give us some feedback, all right, as you explore. And of course, if anything comes up, don't hesitate to put in that ticket. All right. If you need additional support, either from this, this presentation, this new tool, there are some additional support options, extended support and concierge services that you can meet with a customer success manager monthly, and you can review your account and learn about all the new features in a more, solo, company-specific type of way. All right. Awesome, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll get this recording out as soon as possible. Actually, one more question. Sorry about that. I'll just try to answer this. How do you hide the archived? So hiding archived is the same as showing archived. It goes both ways. I go to show archived branches. Okay, so tree view, show archived branches. Anything will pop up that's archived, and then once you're showing them, you can hide them. All right. CR rocks. Love it, Jennifer. Thank you. Thank you. And then last question, seriously this time. How does a staff record a comment in team communication log when they are using a session? So again, jump to a session. Any item that's on here, mine happens to have a team communication log, you are able to write a comment. You have to use session beta to use the commenting. All right. All right, guys. Well, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care.